Welcome to the VetRise Podcast. I'm your host, Juan Perez. My goal is to make success after service accessible to every veteran in society. I believe in the power of leveraging your service, not as a label that defines you, but as a launching pad for your next chapter. What we have been doing hasn't been working, and it's on us to start changing the culture. Enjoy the episode, and thank you for your time. Welcome to the 18th episode of the VetRise Podcast. I am your host, Juan Perez. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 12 questions that followers sent in, asking me specifically on veteran issues, knowing more about who I am, and I'm going to be addressing these things today. I'm going to be talking about them. I'm going to be opening up. I'm going to be sharing some stuff that maybe you haven't heard me talk about before. Maybe I haven't necessarily shared before. And this episode's a little bit different because I'm also recording video for the first time. And you're going to see this video pop up on YouTube pretty soon. You're going to see shorts made out of it. And I'm really excited about that because we're evolving, we are adapting, and 18 episodes in, and we are already deciding that we are going to level up and we're going to start doing things a little bit differently. So let's kick it off with question number 1. What made last year the hardest year of your life? I have to elaborate on that a little bit. So I'm very open on social media. And one of the things I talked about on social media before was that last year was the hardest year of my life personally. I went through a lot of turmoil. I went through a lot of situations that left me depressed, laying in bed, unable to take showers for weeks at a time, unable to eat, unable to do anything, unable to work out, unable to even function. And the reason why last year was the hardest year of my personal life while being the best year for my business is something that I'm still currently going through. But I'm at the tail end of it. And I don't want to speak on it too much because it doesn't deserve the attention that other people might want to give it. But I will say that I am going through a fairly tumultuous divorce. And we have children. And it's hard. It's very hard. And last year was very hard for me. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of what happened or who did what or why I felt how I felt, because that's for another time. That's for another time, and it's also not the reason why I'm here. I'm not here to air out my dirty laundry or talk negatively about someone. I'm here to hopefully provide some hope and some change in perspective. And the reason why last year was the hardest year of my life is because I'm still going through that. And I was going through that, and I felt depressed and I couldn't get up out of bed, and I would show up for my clients. I would roll out of bed. I would do what I had to do in my business, and then I would go lay back down. It was very, very hard. It was probably, honestly, the worst year of my life. But I had my son, and my daughter was born last year as well. And honestly, because of them, I was able to come out of it on the other side. And I am in a much better place right now. So even though last year was the hardest year of my personal life, it was also the year that brought me the most clarity. It was the year that helped me realize that I have to love myself first. It was the year that I realized that I have a lot of personal shortcomings that I have to address, I have to work on before I can even think about trying to find that in anyone else. So that was the reason, is the reason why last year was one of the hardest years of my life, if not the hardest, to be honest, just because I'll put it to you this way. What I thought I was building, what I thought I was creating with someone, all of it died. All of it. I think that is a great summation of why things were as hard as they were. Question number 2. What has been the biggest obstacle in building VetRise, and how did or are you overcoming it? All right. So I put a lot of thought into this question. This question came from a good friend who is also building something pretty amazing. And if you're watching the video, you can see the hat that I'm wearing. It's the Positive Mindset brand hat. And I love this question because Brian Journey posited this question to me. And the biggest obstacle in building VetRise was understanding that there is no limit to what we're building. I thought that, okay, once I get to this many clients, then I will feel successful. Once I am making this much money in income, then I can feel like I'm making an impact for my family and for my future and for my life, right? Or once I have this many followers, or once I do this, or once I do that. And I just realized that there is no limit. I had a lot of, I guess you could call them self-limiting beliefs, but it was very much me positioning them onto my business, thinking that I could only do so much because of who I was. And now I realize that there is no limit to what VetRise can do. I see myself on stage talking to thousands of veterans. I see this podcast blowing up. I see myself going on the Joe Rogan podcast, having Jocko on this podcast. I've actually met the man, and he's a great person. I would love to have him on my podcast. I would love to be on his podcast. I see myself building VetRise into a multi-million dollar company. And the reason why we're not a nonprofit, just to address that, is because when you are a nonprofit, you are tied to the hands, to the will of certain people, certain ways of thinking. And I want to have control of what I am building here. Because it's not that my way is better. I'm not telling all veterans that this is the way to do it. I'm not telling you that this is the only way. I'm telling you that if you are struggling, if you've had some issues, and if you're not happy with where you're at, why not try it this way? Why not give this a try? This is what worked for me. And the way that we do that is by making sure that we are a profitable company. This is not a hobby. This is my life. This is my passion. This is what I'm doing. And I'm going to change lives. So the biggest obstacle in building VetRise has been these self-limiting beliefs that I imposed on my company that were mine. And how have I overcome it? By realizing that as long as I am doing the work, as long as I am putting one foot in front of the other, as long as I am showing up, recording the podcasts, filming the videos, posting the posts, that is me making progress. The company doesn't die unless I stop. Like that is such a warm and welcoming thought that as long as I don't stop, the company will survive. And by doing the work, by putting one brick on top of the other, and by building it, eventually you will have an empire. It just takes time. But if you want to get there faster, you go together. If you want to get there slower, you go alone. Which is why I want to send a huge shout out to the Positive Mindset brand. If you haven't, go check them out on social media. I'm going to tag them in the description of this podcast. The stuff that they put out is absolutely amazing quality, and it has some of the coolest freaking quotes out there. And even the packaging is absolutely sick. I mean, you'll freaking love it. So if you haven't, go and check the Positive Mindset brand out. You can find them on social media, and I'll tag them below. And they're doing some amazing things, and I cannot wait to see where they go next. I love what they are building. Brian is doing absolutely an amazing job, and it's been a privilege to see him grow as I'm growing right next to him. Number 3, what is the number one piece of advice you would give to a veteran who is struggling but who's been out for 8 years and feels like he should have it down by now? This was me. I got out and I figured some stuff out, and then I went down a bad path and I made a lot of mistakes. And when I hit my 8-year mark, I felt like I should have it down by now. Why am I struggling? Why am I having these issues? I've been out for 8 freaking years. What the hell is wrong with me? What I have to say, the number one piece of advice that I would give to a veteran who is struggling is that you have to understand that the struggle is not the weakness. It's the silence. It's the fact that you pull away. It's the fact that you think you have to have it figured out. That is where the weakness happens, because if you decide that you're going to do something about where you are at, there is strength in that. So understanding that you're not happy where you're at and that you want to do something about it, and then taking action on what it is that you're going to do. Even if it is small action momentarily, I promise you eventually it will turn into massive action. Because if it is something that's important to you, you're not going to want to take baby steps. You're going to want to go all in. So the number one piece of advice that I would give to a veteran who is struggling, but he's been out for 8 years or she's been out for 8 years, is that there is no timeline. There is no perfect process. I am still going through it right now, and I've been out for 11 years now. So just understand, there is no timeline. Maybe it takes people 1 year. Maybe it takes them 10 years. Maybe it takes them 5. Maybe it takes them 15. You're going through the process, and the journey is the most important part. Because when we get there, we never get there, by the way. We will always continue evolving and learning and growing and becoming better versions of ourselves, because that is who we are. But the journey is the process. Number 4, why the name VetRise and what does it mean? I love this question. So initially, the name of the company was Ultimate Journey Fitness. And I wasn't primarily focused on coaching veterans. And then I realized that the person that I can help the most is the person that needs me the most, which was me 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. And I have a very large cause behind this. I have had a lot of friends that have taken their lives. I have a lot of friends who had children and they still decided to take their lives. I've had friends who passed away because they didn't take care of themselves and because they didn't ask for help. And I realized that if I can make an impact, if I can help change the life of one veteran, if I can help veterans rise and realize that they have much more to offer, to accomplish, to do, to live, then it will all be worth it. So eventually the name of the company changed to VetRise. And I was driving cross country with my sister and my father, listening to the book Shoe Dog by Phil Collins. An amazing book, by the way. And one of the things in the book that they talked about was that the name has to be powerful. The name has to be unique. The name has to ring the bells. The name has to be strong. And I kept thinking about, what do I want to name this company? I knew I was headed in the direction of veterans. I had been coaching veterans. I was playing out with other names. You might know some of them. Mission Ready Coaching was one of them. And I had all these little ideas of, what do I want to name this company? What do I want to officially transition it to? And it just freaking hit me. VetRise. Because I want to help veterans rise. I don't want them to stay stuck. I don't want them to be complacent. I don't want them to feel like they have hit their limit, like they have plateaued, like they are living past their glory days and they have nothing left to do. I want them to realize that they can rise and they can be more and they can create and they can live and they can be abundant. So that is a name. That is the reason, and I hope that answers your question. Number 5, how can I start working out again if I hate who I am now? The answer is in the question right there. If you hate who you are now, changing that, taking action, being deliberate, that is how you start to love yourself again. And getting into your body, being physical, doing training, realizing that you can move your body, and just by doing some push-ups, doing some pull-ups, going for a walk, that is more than enough. That is you starting. You don't have to go to the gym and slay yourself for 2 hours. You don't have to go and lift all the weights in the world. You have to be able to move and do more than you're doing. You have to be able to realize that when you work out and you eat healthier and you get better sleep and you can wake up with energy, All of these things will very, very quickly show you that you have every reason to love yourself. We don't go to the gym to work out because we hate who we are. We go to the gym to work out because we love ourselves enough to actually do it. I hope that answers your question. You have to remember that nobody's going to do it for you. And that working out and just taking that one small step, signing up to the gym, going to the gym, doing a little bit, lifting the weights, playing the music to get yourself pumped up, day after day after day, before you know it, you will realize that there are results happening, and delayed gratification is one of the most powerful things that somebody can truly appreciate in life. Because when you have delayed gratification, you understand that it doesn't happen overnight, but when you finally start to see it, you will realize that the hard work is paying off. Number 6, what were some of the failures you faced immediately after leaving the service? Oof, so many. I faced so many failures after leaving the service. I got married right away because I thought that I knew what love was. I worked at a mall selling sheets. I finally started college and I was angry all the time because I felt like I was better than all the students there. I started drinking a lot. I started smoking. I didn't work out. And I thought that it's one of those things of like, well, now I get to do what I want to do. But before you know it, you have pushed so far away from the order that the military gave you that you confused as control. See, when we're in, we think that the platoon sergeant, our team leader, you name it, them telling us what to do is their way of controlling us, when in reality, it is their way of looking out for us. It's their way of making sure that we are good. The working out, the eating right, all of those things I pushed away from them. And it led to a divorce. It led to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of debt. It led to me being 40 pounds to 50 pounds overweight, drinking so much that I would come home and drink after work every night and cry myself to bed because I felt like I had no purpose in life. It led to me smoking a pack of cigarettes every night and taking the streets home instead of the highway, because I knew that there was 2 McDonald's on the way home and one of them was bound to have the ice cream machine working. I swear to God. Now, the second part of this question is, how did you fix these issues, right? I'm still working on them. I've taken very, very drastic and massive action on a lot of them. I don't drink. I don't smoke by choice. And I'm not saying that that's what you have to do. I'm just saying that's what I do. I read a lot. I'm very, very deliberate with my time. I train my body. I train my mind. I have a successful business where I get to coach and change the lives of veterans and non-veterans who are working deliberately to live better lives. Shout out to the Savage Squad. Big shout out to VetRise Academy. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I appreciate all of your support, by the way. So thank you for taking the time to listen, because I know you guys are. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you hear this right now, right here, go and do a post in the Facebook group. You know who you are. And let everybody know why you are enjoying this episode, and let everybody know to go and listen to it. Little shout out to the Savage Squad. And I'm still fixing in things. I'm still working on myself. I'm still making the dramatic and drastic and massive action and the messy action sometimes. Just sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I invested so much money, over $10,000 at this point, in a business coach because I know the value of a mentor. I understand the value of getting the information, not just faster, but accurately from somebody who's done it. And I appreciate that. And I will pay for it 10 times over if I had to, because it has worked. It has made me successful. I have read a lot. In the mornings when I wake up, I listen to an audiobook, and on my drive home, I will listen to a podcast or a YouTube video. I listen to music when I'm in the gym, and that's it. I am very deliberate with my day, my actions, my everything. Everything I do has intentionality behind it. So that is how I'm consistently and currently working on fixing the failures of my past, because they are only failures if you stay there. If you regroup and you look around and you realize that this is not where I want to be, and then you do something about it, it's not a failure. It is a lesson. Number 7, how did you find a new sense of purpose after your military career? So one of the things I did after I left the military was I applied for every law enforcement position that I could find, because I felt like, well, this is the next thing that I want to do with my life. This is what made sense. This is what's right for me. And eventually I did get hired by a law enforcement agency. And I thought that I found a lot of purpose there. And don't get me wrong, I love my time in law enforcement. I've made some of the best friends that I will have for the rest of my life. And I deeply am grateful for each and every one of them. You know who you are. But the law enforcement agency, the community, turned out to be very similar to the military in a few ways, where you're useful when you're useful. And then when you're not, when you don't necessarily fit the agenda, they will move you, they will chew you up and spit you out, they will put you where they want to put you. And I realized that the same way that I gave a lot of my time and efforts to the Marine Corps, and then I was very angry when we did what we did in Afghanistan and we just left them and abandoned them. And it made me feel like, well, what was the point of the last 20 years? What was the point of me being out there? What was the point of my friends dying and not coming home? What was the point of having friends here that took their lives because they came back with trauma? And then I translated a lot of that, and I understood it, and I picked it apart, and I took time to process it, and I realized that the purpose that I found wasn't in the job that I had or the career that I held at the time. It was in the fact that I was making an impact somewhere in some way. My time in the Marine Corps was not a waste. I know that we made a very positive impact at the time on the people that were there in Afghanistan when we were there. My time in law enforcement was not a waste. I know that I helped a lot of people. I know that I put away the bad guys. I know that I executed a lot of search warrants and did some of the coolest stuff that I can't even talk about on here because it's secret. And I enjoyed it. And it wasn't a waste. And it was very huge for my purpose. But it helped me realize that purpose is not about what you are doing. It's about the impact you have on the lives around you. And I am still currently seeking purpose every single day. Again, I say it, I wake up with intentionality. So the advice that I have for someone trying to find their sense of purpose after the military is create your passion by not necessarily finding it, but look at what you enjoy doing and then lean into it. Anything and everything can be turned into a business, and it will only suck and you'll only not enjoy it as a business if you're not good at it. People always tell you, oh, don't turn your hobby into a business because then you know, it's going to turn into work. It should be work. Work is always the goal. If you want a happy marriage, it takes work. If you want to be successful in life, that takes work. If you want to live a peaceful, calm life, guess what? That still takes work. Work will always be the goal. I learned that from Alex Hormozy. He is a person that I believe is very underrated, and I suggest everyone listen to him. There's a plethora of people who have been mentors in my life, and they don't even know it, right? I have Brian Mark, who is my mentor, who I've invested my time into and my energy because of the person that he is and the places that he is going, as well as Cole De Silva. But I also have mentors that have never met me. I've had mentors that I've met. A mentor that I met is Jordan Peterson. I had the opportunity to meet him a few years ago when he was in Chicago. I had the opportunity to meet Jocko last year. I had the opportunity to meet Joe Rogan a couple of years ago. And there's so many other mentors in my life that I've never met, and I maybe never will. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that a lot of my purpose and my sense of passion and creating what is it that I want to do with my life was understanding that you have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to dive all in, to lean into it, to burn the boats, to have no plan B. Because if you believe in yourself, if you really believe in yourself, you don't leave yourself any room for failure. Confidence doesn't come from faking it. Confidence comes from having an undeniable amount of evidence behind you that says that you did what you were going to do. It's that simple. If you said you were going to do it and you did it, that is how you build confidence, because no one can say that you didn't do it. If you say that I can't do this or I can't do that, the moment that you do it, those words lose all of their meaning. I'm not a morning person. I can't wake up early. Guess what? Once you've done it, you better not freaking say that, because now it's not even true. Number 8. What's one lesson civilian life taught you that you weren't expecting? What's one lesson that civilian life taught me that I wasn't expecting? That not everything is black and white. That there is a dichotomy to everything. That we don't have to hold other people to the standards that we have created in our heads for ourselves. That it's okay to hold ourselves to that standard, but we have to understand that living in society, you chose to raise your right hand. You chose to go into the military. They did not. And coming into society and becoming a civilian that has served in the military, you have more opportunity. You have more leverage than most do, because you have done so much for so long with so little that nothing is impossible to you. Veterans don't have the same issues that civilians do. We have different confidence issues. We have different limiting beliefs. We have issues. But if you can start dealing with yours and you can start attacking whatever it is that you actually want to do in this world, you can get further ahead quicker, faster, and better. So just understand that a lesson that you can take from civilian life is that you have to understand that nobody is going to feel sorry for you. Nobody's going to congratulate you. Nobody's going to care what you did. It's about understanding that you need to be useful in this world. And you need to not judge everybody the way that you think they are judging you, because guess what? They're not. Number 9. How have you managed to make friends outside the veteran community? The advice that I would give to someone trying to make friends outside the veteran community is, as long as you are aware that you're trying to make friends, that's the first step. For a long time, I didn't want any friends outside the veteran community. I just wanted to hang out with the boys, chilling, drinking, having a good old time, like we were back on the block. And then I realized that I was finding myself in this echo chamber of reinforcing thoughts that were negative at times. Not everybody, not everyone. But sometimes you have to look at things from a different perspective. And how can you get a different perspective if everybody that you're hanging around with has a very similar belief system as you? You have to be willing to explore and learn and honestly kill your ego a little bit to allow yourself to make friends with people that are not veterans. They have a lot to teach you. When you allow yourself to start becoming friends with people who have a lot of respect for veterans, but they can see you as a human being. They don't see you as this cocky asshole veteran who thinks that he's better than everybody else. You don't know the doors that might open up to you. You don't know the opportunities you might be opening up for yourself because you limit the growth that you can have when you have a limiting mindset. So get out there, be nice. Like, there's nothing wrong with being nice. People think that being nice is a weakness. It's not. You are a savage. You are a beast. When you have to turn it on, you can turn it on. But it doesn't have to be on all the time. Imagine how much of a longer, more prosperous life you will lead if you are not on 10 all the time, because you will be fucking empty before you know it. You are stressed out. You are hyper aware, and that comes off as paranoia. Stop thinking that you have to be this hard-ass asshole all the time and be nice. It really is that simple. So that is the number one thing that I would say is a great way to make friends outside the veteran community. Be nice. Be willing to share. Be willing to learn. Be willing to just live life a little bit differently. Be curious about life. What number are we on? Number 10. When was the first time you truly felt at peace after leaving the service? I think after I read the Jordan Peterson book, The 12 Rules for Life, and I started applying the things on a daily basis. And this is after going through my first divorce. I actually made amends with people that I had pushed away purposely. I made amends with people at work that I had been an asshole to on purpose. And I thought that I had to be this way because I thought that I had to be feared. I thought that that is how you had respect from people. And I realized that I'm just being an asshole. It doesn't make me any better. It doesn't. So that was my first glimpse of peace after leaving the service, because I made peace with myself. I made peace with the fact that I don't have to be this salty, asshole, cocky veteran, because eventually you become that entitled, bitter veteran, and nobody wants that. Nobody should be that. And then every single day since then, I've been working on finding peace, because that's what we should honestly strive for. I would rather thrive in peace than survive in chaos, because I don't want to have to be looking over my shoulder. Trust me, I'm capable. And if need be, I can turn it on. I can protect, I can defend, I can attack if I need to. But that's the key word right there, if I need to. And you don't always need to. You have to understand that when you give yourself permission to find peace, you let go of the war. There is no war here. You're not fighting a war. You have to find peace. You have to allow yourself to really seek it. Because until you give yourself permission to actually actively pursue peace, how can you really even know what you're looking for? Number 11. What strategies have helped you deal with the frustrations of civilian life? Understanding that even though I'm not intentionally the cocky asshole veteran, I still know that I am the confident, capable veteran. I really feel like I have an upper hand in society because of all the experiences that I have and because I've dealt with the issues. So therefore, I can leverage all the positive skills from the military. I can leverage the discipline, the timeliness, the creativeness, the willingness to get things done. The fact that I can operate with little sleep if I need to. The fact that if I need to, I can operate out of a single room as if I'm living in a barracks room, which I am. The fact that I can leverage everything that the military taught me in a positive way, as long as I have dealt with the negatives, right? So the strategies that have helped me deal with the frustrations of civilian life are the fact that I do feel very capable. I don't allow the negative stuff to hold me back. I don't tell myself that, well, you know what, this is the way life is now, and you know what, civilians all suck, and this. Like, that is me just talking down to myself, right? Because I am in this world now. Last but not least, have you found any surprising ways to apply your military skills in civilian life? Well, that kind of ties on to question number 11, does it? It does. So the surprising way that I've been able to apply military skills in civilian life is by being super creative, by leveraging all of the things that the military taught me, by having attention to detail, by being willing to take the jobs that nobody else wants to take. But I'm also working on setting some boundaries. I'm also working on saying no more often, because as veterans, we over-volunteer way too much. So I'm working on these things daily. So because number 12 was very similar to number 11, I'm going to give you guys an extra one. So I'm going to ask myself a question that I think you guys would love to know the answer to. So question number 13. What are you most proud of? What has been your biggest accomplishment so far in life? What is your why? It's a bunch of questions in one, I know. But I'm going to answer them all. I am most proud of my two beautiful kids, Oliver and Luna. I am very proud of them because I see them growing daily. I see the way that Oliver has all of this ambition and all of this curiosity, and he just surprises the hell out of me every day. And Luna has a smile that just lights you up. And that is my biggest accomplishment. But you can have multiple whys. You can have different big accomplishments that you're proud of. So the way that I want to answer this is by telling you that you can have multiple biggest accomplishments. You can be proud of multiple things. You can have multiple whys. And I'm proud of a lot of stuff in my life. I grew up in a gang-infested neighborhood. And my dad did everything he could, and my mom as well, to get me out of there. We moved to a nicer area, and what did I do? I still found the shit. Because no matter where you go, if your mindset is shit, you are going to find other shits. And I got expelled from school. And I went to another school, and I got suspended from there. And then I finally went back to the other school, and before you know it, I was getting suspended again, and eventually I was able to come back, and I graduated with my class. I was very proud of that. And I enlisted in the Marine Corps. And the reason I'm sharing this is because your past doesn't define you. Your youth is a very small fraction of your entire life. 1 year out of 50 that we might live, or 80 or 70 or 90 or 100, or unfortunately maybe less or maybe more, whatever it is because of technology, 1 year is literally less than 1%. Maybe not. Math was never my strong suit. If you live to 100. My point is that your past doesn't influence you. It's just part of the story. Let it be the thing that pushes you further. Let it be the thing that motivates you and inspires you. We think that we have to have discipline, but I think that we have to have devotion. We have to know why. We have to know, why are we doing this? Why is it important to us? So I hope these 12 questions asked and answered have helped you today. I hope that this podcast is helping you. It took me a year to launch this podcast because I did it intentionally this way. I wanted to have a decent following on social media. I wanted to make sure I was making an impact. I wanted to give so much away freely that people were willing to listen to this podcast. And the YouTube channel is next. And there's a reason why it's being done in phases, right? So if this podcast is helping you, I'm going to ask you very directly here, please give it a review, give it a rating, share it, post it, do what you can, but help us grow this platform, help us grow this podcast, because I truly believe in the power of communication. And when we share, when we talk, when we open up those lines of communication, anything is possible. So again, This is Juan Perez, also known as JP the Veteran Coach. And that is it for tonight. Thank you for your time. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the VetRise Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, made you think, or simply just gave you hope, I have a small favor to ask. Share it with just one veteran or someone you think could benefit from my message. Your share could light a spark for them. You don't know who you might save. For more insights and to join this mission, follow my socials at JP the Veteran Coach and explore how we can rise together. Thank you for joining us, for being part of this journey, and for believing in the power of rising together as veterans. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep rising, and never forget we are stronger together. My name is Juan Perez, and thank you for your time.